And we are live from the CSI Softball Complex on the campus of the College of Staten Island for this East Coast Conference doubleheader. In Game 1 of today's doubleheader, the College of Staten Island takes on St. Thomas Aquinas College. The Dolphins and Spartans meeting for the second time in 4 days. They played late last week. Dolphins had a rainout yesterday of their scheduled doubleheader against Mercy University. They faced the Spartans for the second consecutive conference doubleheader, as Kennedy Ruth very quickly falls behind 3-0 against her first batter, Elise Marcano. This is Joe Foreman on the call alongside Nicholas Bavona for CSI Sportsnet. I found out this game started at 2 p.m. about 3 hours ago, Nick.
Well, a bit of a head start as well. We're still, the scheduled pitch time was 2 o'clock, but we're a little bit ahead of schedule for today's doubleheader. As you mentioned, a very pivotal doubleheader for the Dolphins here today. Joe, we'll mention it a couple of times in the broadcast today, but these are two games the Dolphins really need. You get the sense they cannot get swept in this doubleheader, or else it's going to be really tough for them down the stretch of this season to make the playoffs. Yeah, the Dolphins simply cannot afford to drop both of these games. If they do, it could spell the end of their playoff hopes, though mathematically that would not be the case. I'm not sure they can afford to lose both, sitting at 1-7 in the conference right now. So a lot on the line for CSI as Kennedy Ruth issues a leadoff walk to Marcano. And I think the other thing is also, Joe, if you look at the schedule for the Dolphins the rest of the way, the Dolphins have to play 12 games. All of those games are conference games, but they have to play those games in 13 days. So a 2-week span for CSI to play these games. We talked about, mostly for this week, but Mother Nature has really not been on the side of the Dolphins these last couple of days.
No question about that. It's been a really rough, close to 2 weeks now in terms of weather here on Staten Island, and the Dolphins have had multiple games canceled due to rain. The last time we saw the Dolphins here, they had a record-setting offensive performance at the plate, as that's taken for a strike. 1-1 the count on Adriana Coira, but huge afternoon for them against Lincoln last time we were here on Wednesday. Things did not go nearly as well at Stack on Thursday as the Dolphins dropped both of those games. 1-1 bunted to third. Olivia Warner charges in, and her throw is off the glove of Motley, covering at first. Moving up to third is Marcano. Staying put at first is Coira. And very quickly, the first two Spartans are on. Runners on first and third, nobody out.
Yeah, that's an error that the Dolphins really can't afford right there, Joe. A nice job by covering the bag by Motley. A great play by Warner at third base to recognize the bunt. But the Dolphins were not able to make that play. That will go down as an E4. And now it's first and third, still nobody out in the inning. So a dangerous spot for Kennedy Ruth early in this game. And going back to those games on Thursday, Joe, those are two games the Dolphins were competitive in. They just couldn't get the run support that they needed the most.
Runner heading for second, no throw from behind the plate. And now the Spartans have two in scoring position here for Eliana Raposo.
And Raposo having a monster season for the Spartans this year, Joe, leading the team in batting average at .407 coming into today's doubleheader.
She comes to the plate with a big opportunity early as that skied foul and out of play down the right field line, but very quickly before the 1-1 pitch, here are the numbers for Dolphin starter Kennedy Ruth. Ruth comes in with a 3.08 ERA and a whip of 1.26. She's pitched to a record of 4-4 across 11 appearances and 10 starts. She has 4 complete games, and in 50 innings pitched, she's allowed 49 hits, 30 runs, 22 of those earned. She's walked 14 and struck out 42. Opposing batters hitting at .262 against her.
And this same Stack team saw her on Thursday in Game 1 of that doubleheader, going 5 innings in that game, allowed 6 hits, 5 runs, 3 walks, and 3 strikeouts, and that 5-3 win for the Spartans.
Opposing batters overall hitting at .301 against the Dolphins this season. As that's hit well out toward left center field, but Carcano ranging to her right makes the catch. The throw goes to third, not in time. And the first run of the game comes home on a sacrifice fly.
A nice productive out right there for Raposo, but a nice play by Carcano in center field, Joe. Having to range over to left center field and make that catch. Not an easy one. That was hit on a rope by Raposo, but called for the first out.
That will bring up Sophia Morella. Well, I mentioned opponents hitting .301 against the Dolphins. The Dolphins as a team this year are hitting .315. So the offense generally has not been problematic for them. We've seen some miscues in the field, and that generally has been what has cost the Dolphins the games that they've lost. As that misses down and in 1-1.
And we've talked about that over at the baseball diamond as well for the baseball team, where errors could be really, really tough to overcome and try to win some of these games, especially when it comes down to conference play. We saw how pivotal that early error was in this inning. That runner now at third base, as Spartans trying to bring her home and get an early 2-0 lead in this game.
Morella now ahead 2-1, and the Dolphins will gather around Ruth in the circle here. I think what really stood out to me about that doubleheader against the Spartans is the Dolphins only scoring 3 runs in the 2 games, especially given what we saw the day before. Now, obviously, 2 very different opponents on Wednesday and Thursday of last week in the Lions and the Spartans, but I don't think that under any circumstances would we've expected the Dolphins to go in and get shut out in a game against the Spartans. On the other side of things, they got great pitching, and that's something that's been pretty steady throughout the year. Their pitching has been pretty consistent, and they've had some pretty good depth as well. A lot of pitchers on the staff have taken a step forward this year, and you like to see that.
Yeah, we saw a nice start in that game for Brooklyn Miller, I should say. Madeline Paul, I was going to mention, had her first career home run. That came in game 1 of that doubleheader. This count now goes 3-1. I think the only concern right now in this inning so far, Joe, is we've seen from Ruth, her command just hasn't been what we used to see in some of her starts in this one. Is already issued a walk in the inning and is in danger of walking a second batter right here.
Well, they made the point during the broadcast on Thursday at Stack as that pitch is in for a strike. Kennedy Ruth is a strike thrower, and we know that. She has just 14 walks in 50 innings. But unusual seeing her struggle with her command. Now, we would say that perhaps a bit of cooler weather could play a role, but it's actually a pretty nice day. It's a little on the cool side with the breeze, but outside of that extra wind chill, it's a nice day. The field might have seen better days prior to the rain, but
yeah, my jeans and my sneakers have seen better days.
Yeah,
so, a little bit of just some mud on it.
It's a bit muddy.
Yeah, just a bit muddy.
Count 3-2 now. Big pitch here, and that's down and in ball 4. And once again, the Spartans have runners on the corners.
Now batting the third baseman, 00, Trinidad Santiago.
Joe, I made sure to tell Sam to make sure he doesn't say number 00.
Good job, Nick. Oh, if Sam had said number 00, I would have been over there in a heartbeat.
I literally crossed it out of our pregame script. I said, Sam, you got to make sure you don't say number when you say this number.
That's right. Joe will come get you. So Trinidad Santiago at the plate. She's behind 0-1.
Well, the Dolphins love a double play ball right here, Joe, to get out of the inning.
Will the Spartans give them a chance for a double play?
Be tough.
That pitch in for a called strike 2. And if you could escape this inning allowing just 1 run, you'll certainly take that if you're Kennedy Ruth.
We saw on Wednesday the Dolphins did turn 2 double plays, that being 6 unassisted twice by Balderas. And they will not have a chance.
As I said, Nick, they're not going to give him a chance. And that's the right play there, especially in a 2-strike count.
So Morello now goes over to second. Now second and third, still 1 out. But Ruth is 1 strike away from getting a huge second out.
1-2 fouled off. It stays 1 ball and 2 strikes.
Sac as a team this season, Joe, as well, saying 300 batting average-wise as a team. So not easy to get out these hitters.
That's fouled off again. Well, their number's right around where the Dolphins' opponent batting average is. And the batting average against the Spartans pitching staff, however, at 281. So something's got to give there. The Dolphins, a team that hits 315. It's 1-2 now, and that's ripped foul. Might not want to come inside again.
Yeah. Ruth has been throwing a little bit inside so far in this first inning. That's how she got her first out. Yeah, an inside pitch to get that one into left center.
1-2 just off the corner.
Yeah, that was just in the other at batter's box, but Paul, to her credit, Joe, tried to frame that one nicely down the middle for a strike. They just didn't get the call. Now the count evens at 2.
Dolphins dugout wanted the call as well as the 2-2s popped up.
How to play again.
Jamel Reynolds getting a workout. He's our ball runner today.
Yeah. You better be careful with the mud. I almost slipped on one of the mud.
Oh, you don't want to be that guy who slips in the mud, because that, I would say, badge of dishonor is going to show all day long.
Yeah. That's probably how my pants got a little dirty from like the little slip.
Yeah, you have to utilize the concrete walkways.
Yeah.
I do have the right footwear, though. I always work softball and boots.
Yeah.
There's a reason for that.
Yeah, I messed up today with my my sneaker choice. Not an ideal one.
You're a veteran, Nick. You should know better.
Yeah, I wasn't thinking. Not thinking ahead.
I do have to say, as we have a delay here, they were retrieving some foul balls. But last night, I actually put on the first doubleheader that you and I ever called, if I'm not mistaken. It was one of the first.
Yes.
And it was Dolphin Spartans. And to the right of the backstop, there was a gigantic tent erected over us to keep us dry from potential rainfall.
Is that the infamous infield fly game?
That was.
Yes.
You weren't on game one, so you must have hopped in game two.
Yeah, I did.
That's fouled off.
I think I notioned to you because you were doing it by yourself. And I said to you, I could call the game with you in game two if you want me to.
The rest is history.
Yeah, the rest is history.
Count stays 2-2 after that last foul ball. Another 2-2 on its way. Low ball 3.
This has been a very lengthy at-bat, Joe. Great at-bat right here. Now count full at 3-2. Santiago is making Ruth work here in this first inning.
Another payoff pitch, 3-2, and she got her. Santiago goes down swinging on the high fastball, and that's a big second out for Ruth and the Dolphins.
Yeah, how huge was that one, Joe? Fastball high, pretty much chest high, and she got her to chase on that one for a huge out number 2. And now, as you mentioned earlier, if you can escape this inning with just allowing the one run, the Dolphins will certainly take it, try to get a run or two in the next half inning.
There's a first pitch strike on the outside corner to Jessica Fierick. That's popped up foul. And once again, Ruth quickly ahead 0-2.
One strike away from back-to-back punch-outs to retire the side. Give the Dolphins a chance to come up in the next half inning.
That's fouled off again.
Honestly, a good thing that hit that tree. There was a car going right down that way with the foul ball. Good thing there's trees there.
Still 0-2. That's down and in, ball 1.
Yeah, we've seen Ruth in this inning go inside. A couple pitches were hit foul. That one just missed a little bit too inside. Still ahead of the count, though, in 1-2.
A base hit here or an out, the difference between a potential 3-run inning and a 1-run inning. And you could hear the mid pop on that one,
yeah.
Nick.
I think Madeline Paul was looking at her glove, looking at her hand. That one was a rocket from Ruth behind the plate.
This pitch number 37 for Ruth in the inning. And there's a swing and a miss for strike 3. Kennedy Ruth strands 2 in scoring position as the Spartans settle for 1 run in the road first inning. No hits up on the scoreboard for Stack, but they do scratch out a run. They lead the Dolphins 1-0, heading to the home first.
No, I'm right. The podcast that uncovers the origin stories of some of the biggest names in sports, media, and entertainment. Nick Durst here along with Joe Calabrese.
Here we are, 200 episodes later, about 150 episodes with guests, our friends, soon to be your friends.
Well, it's pretty clear, Joe, that it's all about You Know I'm Right, the podcast. That's my You Know I'm Right moment. Wanted to do a podcast, and everyone was like, what are you, crazy? Who's going to listen? You're not going to get guests. Well, guess what? I'm the best when it comes to getting guests. You can vouch for that.
I am so happy that you asked me to do this. I couldn't have been more thrilled. And follow us on socials, check us out. I promise you, if you want to work in media, whether you work in media now, whether you want to quit your job and work in media, come to us, and I promise you, we will get you on the right foot.
That's what it's all about, uncovering the origin stories of some of the biggest names in sports, media, and entertainment. Keep it locked on You Know I'm Right.
And we're back from the CSI softball complex for the home first inning. Dolphins trail the Spartans 1-0. Anissa Acosta will lead things off for CSI. She will face Sarah Clancy, left-hander for the Spartans.
Very rare that we see a left-hander on the circle in one of these games.
Count 1-1 now on Acosta. Very quickly we'll get you the full Dolphins lineup. Acosta leads off, followed by Carcano, Stalker, Balderas, Wanzer, Warner, Motley, Paul, and Alyssa Acosta. Comes the 1-1. In the dirt, 2-1. Acosta ahead, 2-1. Clancy's pitch on the way, and that's high for ball 3.
The Dolphins saw Clancy, by the way, Joe, as well in that first game against the Dolphins. That was a complete game for her in that effort and that 5-3 victory.
3-1 on its way. And that misses for ball 4. And the Dolphins quickly have the leadoff batter on with a walk.
A nice start to this game, getting that walk, and with Carcano now coming up, Joe, got to expect the bunt in this spot. Try to move the runner into scoring position.
Spartans will certainly be on the lookout for that. The alignment for Stack defensively on the infield, first to third. Fierick, Marcano, Coira, and Santiago.
Look how close they're playing her at third base.
I mean,
Santiago.
that is almost so close that if the bunt is between the circle and the line, there's no play. If Carcano can direct this bunt a bit away from the line, that could be trouble as they'll throw behind Acosta. Ball gets into right field and she'll stay put. It's 2-0 now.
Yeah, Clancy trying to go on the outside and try to get that bunt down the third base line. Realizing that Santiago is down that third base line ready to make the play, but has missed high with both of them and is quickly behind the count 2-0.
Acosta also realizing there's nobody holding her on after the pitch. She can afford to get pretty far. And now it's 3-0. And Carcano effectively, with the infield this far in, was looking to give herself up. And Clancy can't find the strike zone.
Clancy threw 90 pitches in that game on Thursday, Joe. I mentioned she went the full distance, but is having some command issues early on.
And she finds the zone there. 3-1.
In that game, she went the full 7 innings, allowed 6 hits, 3 runs, 1 walk, 6 strikeouts. Very dominant performance on Thursday. Try to duplicate it here today.
3-1. Up and away, ball 4. And I think the concern there, Nick, is that those misses were not close.
Yeah, all in the outside corner as well. And now with back-to-back walks, it leads to a conference in the circle for the Spartans here with a 1-0 lead for them, but still nobody out. And we'll see if Amanda Stalker can get something going for CSI and get them on the board.
Stalker will come to bat with 2 on, nobody out in the inning. And Stalker had a nice day on Thursday at Stack. In the first game, she was 2 for 2 with a run scored. Then in game 2, she had another base hit, 1 for 2 with a walk.
Every Dolphin that started that game, Joe, had a base hit.
Pitch to Stalker, in for strike 1. That's fouled straight back. 0-2 now.
Well, if you're Clancy, this is a good start to bounce back after giving up those 2 straight walks. Now you have yourself a good early 0-2 count. You can maybe afford to try to go something on the outside to get Stalker to chase and get the first out of the setting on a strikeout.
Keep in mind as well, that 2 for 2 game on Thursday was against Clancy. Stalker takes ball 1.
That wasn't a bad pitch either from Clancy. Just missed on the inside. And now the count's still 1-2.
Count 1-2 now. And that's hit sharply on the ground, just foul, wide of the third base bag.
And if you saw on that last one, Joe, she was going with fastballs to start this at bat. That one an off-speed pitch, and Stalker had to wait a little bit to swing at that one and hit it foul down the left field line.
Count still 1-2 on Stalker. Acosta on second, Carcano on first. 1-2. High, 2-2.
Went back to that fastball after the breaking ball on the previous pitch. And now for Stalker, she's even the count at 2.
2-2. Hit the other way, just foul. Battle brewing here between Clancy and Stalker. And after we saw Kennedy Ruth throw nearly 40 in the first inning, Clancy up at 16 already without an out.
Especially with the heart of the lineup coming up for the Dolphins next. After Stalker, it's Balderas in the cleanup spot.
And that's it the other way, foul again.
Usually we see Stalker hit it into left field. Couple of hits down the right field line these last couple of swings. So if you're the Spartans, got to be very careful. It's gone the opposite way the last 2 times.
Stalker, a capable hitter to all fields, but really seems to excel on that inside pitch. As that half swing results in another foul ball.
Just got a piece of that one.
Battle continues. The count still 2-2. Another 2-2. Up high, ball 3.
So from 0-2 to now 3-2. Very good battle right here between Stalker and Clancy, and a chance for Stalker to walk the 3rd walk of this inning and load the bases for CSI.
Clancy, who struck out 6 on Thursday, has had a lot of trouble putting these Dolphins hitters away. And Stalker pops it up. Foul ground and dropped. New life for Stalker. Leone just couldn't secure it. That looked about as routine as it gets, Nick.
Yeah. That's one you're going to want back, because now if Stalker gets the walk, that's going to really harm the Spartans in this inning.
Huge break for Stalker and the Dolphins there. Can they capitalize? And another foul ball.
Over 10 pitch at bat in this one between Stalker and Clancy. We saw a great battle in the last half inning between Santiago and Ruth. Now Stalker and Clancy going at it here in the bottom half.
Still 3-2. Another payoff pitch.
Look out.
Over Stalker's head, ball 4. What an at-bat by Stalker.
And she got a big break from that error behind the plate as
Sure
well,
did.
Joe. So now, loaded bases for Balderas. What a spot for the Dolphins. Already down 1 in this game. But Balderas, as we know, is a capable hitter of doing some damage.
So Eileen Balderas will come to the plate with the bases loaded and nobody out. And you can make the case this is a pivotal at-bat in the Dolphins season right now, as that's taken for ball 1.
And if you look at the infield alignment right now for the Spartans as well, they're kind of playing creeping in. So any ground ball hit towards them, they're going to go straight towards home plate and try to prevent Acosta from scoring from third.
1-0. In for a strike, 1-1.
I think if there's any Dolphin you want in the spot, Joe, it's Balderas.
Comes the 1-1. Fouled off. So Clancy ahead again now, 1-2. The question mark early has been, can she put the hitter away?
Yeah, has had some command issues for sure in the inning. He's missed a couple fastballs high. We'll see what she does here on 1-2. Expect maybe another fastball here to try to get Balderas on a punch out.
1-2, up high, 2-2.
Looked exactly the same as we saw in that last at-bat with Stalker when it was 1-2. It was a fastball high, pretty much towards the helmet. And now the count even at 2.
Perhaps overthrowing just a bit in a bid for those strikeouts. 2-2. Popped up.
deep enough where it's not going to be near the camera.
Not a factor for the camera, which is the most important thing for us.
But another foul ball hit by the Dolphins that keeps extending these at-bats in this inning so far. It has really made Clancy work.
Count still 2-2. And Balderas hits one on the ground. The throw coming home, and they get the force at the plate. Good play there at shortstop to get that force at the plate by Coira.
Yeah, I mentioned it earlier in the at-bat. They moved the infield in to make sure they would go straight home to get that out, and they did just that. A nice play at short, and a big first out for the Spartans.
That one stings if you're the Dolphins off the bat with how slowly that ball was hit. I thought they'd go to third with it and take the shore out. Instead, they had a lot of time to throw home. One away now, bases still loaded. And Olivia Wanzer hits one high in the air to shallow left. Will Carcano tag? No, she will not. And she probably would have scored there as the throw was offline.
I think it's tough to tell. This shallow fly ball definitely has the speed and capability of getting from third, but you can never really tell off a fly ball like that if the outfielder or left fielder is going to have the arm to get it towards the plate. It got towards the plate, but it was offline. But now the Dolphins, after having bases loaded and no outs, Joe, now bases loaded and 2 outs, it'll be up to Olivia Warner.
Yeah, that's a really tough decision whether or not to send her there. But the throw was just a bit up the first base line, and if she's going, she probably scores. It's left to Olivia Warner now. Bases loaded, 2 outs. And Warner takes a strike.
Well, we've seen Clancy start these at-bats with that fastball. This time she starts the at-bat with that breaking ball. Currently has an 0-1 count.
Comes the 0-1. Down and away, 1-1.
Went right back to it on that one. Didn't miss by much.
Just missed.
Have some stack supporters here at the softball complex, and they thought they had it too.
Count even, 1 ball and 1 strike. And Warner takes high, 2-1.
So an early hitters count here for Warner, and obviously for Clancy, Joe, in the spot cannot afford another walk with no bases open, trying to avoid walking in that first run and tying this game at 1.
Two-one. Foul back.
Yeah, you could see right there. She fooled her on that breaking ball again. I think she was expecting the fastball. Now the count's even at 2.
Well, if you can avoid it, you hate to run it full if you're Clancy. This is the pitch that you'd like to get Warner out with. It's 2-2, 2 outs, bases still loaded. And Warner hits one to right field. That's down for a base hit. Carcano in to score. Here comes Stalker, and she will score. It's a 2-run single for Olivia Warner, and the Dolphins take a 2-1 lead.
Well, look at that one, Joe. I mentioned it in the previous pitch. It was an off-speed pitch by Clancy that she fouled off. And this time around did the same thing. It was another off-speed pitch, and she hit it into right field, over the first baseman and in for a 2-run single, and it's an early 2-1 Dolphin lead.
That is a big, big hit for Olivia Warner. Dolphins now have a 1-run lead in the first as Bridget Motley looks at a strike. And Nick, the Dolphins get nothing in that inning. It could set the tone for not just this game, but the whole day. That completely changes things. A huge 2-out hit.
Yeah, you really needed that momentum boost, and that's a big one right there, getting that 2-run single. And you're hoping that Motley can extend it.
And that's blooped to shallow right center. But charging in to make the catch is Raposo to retire the side. The Dolphins strand runners on the corners, but they do take the lead on a 2-run RBI single by Olivia Warner. We are through 1 from Staten Island. Dolphins over the Spartans, 2-1.
Hobra, a taco joint, Staten Island, where we're proud to have shared our family-first spirit with people from throughout New York City and the world. With indoor dining available both at the bar and on the floor. Or step outside for additional seating and an outdoor bar. Serving beer that's crisp, ice cold, and worthy of a day at the beach. Cocktails that explode with flavor. And great food made with the freshest and healthiest ingredients available. events feature food and drink specials, live music, and the best of Staten Island nightlife. Your CSI Student ID saves you 10% on your dining order at Hobra. Visit us at 412 Forest Avenue, Staten Island.
And we're back from the CSI softball complex where the Dolphins have taken a 2-1 lead. And how about that first inning, Nick? As good a first inning as we've seen in a while.
Yeah, for both sides, absolutely, Joe. Great at-bats, lengthy at-bats as well. And we saw a lot of foul balls hit that extended those at-bats. And a big hit from Warner has now given the Dolphins an early 2-1 lead. And you talked about that last half inning, a big difference after having bases loaded and nobody out. The Dolphins were 1 out away from not bringing home a run. They bring home 2 and now give Kennedy Ruth an early 2-1 lead here in the second.
Maristella Coira will lead things off for the Spartans here. She has a 1-1 count as that's hit towards shallow left, foul ground out of play, just out of the reach of Alyssa Acosta. Well, you have to like Dolphins' ability to respond after they gave up a run in the first, and the Spartans, with their backs against the wall in the bottom half of the inning, got a great job from Clancy in the circle to pitch out of extreme danger.
And I think as well for Ruth, she did the exact same thing in the first inning. She got herself out of trouble as well, and we mentioned it. Only giving up that 1 run was big, as she gets a nice strikeout to start off the second.
Coira down looking for the first out, and you said it earlier, Nick. Clancy threw 90 pitches on Thursday. That's pretty low for a 7-inning game.
Yeah.
And the Dolphins made her work in that first inning. It's not often that you can chase a pitcher solely based on pitch count, but at the very least, you'd like her to be somewhere up near 100 pitches through 6 if you can, especially after that longer first inning at the plate.
And I think now for the Dolphins, with this early lead, we saw Ruth as well. I mentioned she pitched in that game on Thursday, game 1 of that doubleheader. She threw 84 pitches in that game. And with a 40 pitches throw in the first inning, Dolphins hoping should go a long way. But she gives up her first single right there.
Olivia Leone grounds that one up the middle for a base hit. And the Spartans have a 1-out base runner.
Right fielder, number 15, Jordan Gauthier.
Jordan Gauthier will be the batter here. One out, 1 on for Stack here in the road second. That's up and away, ball 1. The 1-0. Looped foul and off the fencing behind the plate. 1-1.
Gauthier again the start today for the Spartans. Now it's a 1-1 count. Love to get something into the gap and try to tie this game.
The 1-1. Down and in, 2-1. Down and in, ball 3. There goes the runner. And the Dolphins will have no chance to make a throw. And we've seen this now from both pitchers early in this game, falling behind hitters, as well as hitters battling back to 3-ball counts. We have seen plenty of 3-ball counts thus far.
And I think you kind of expected that with the way these two teams have been hitting this season. As right on cue, Gauthier hits a foul ball, and the count now is full at 3-2.
Neither team giving away anything at the plate right now.
Each team with 1 hit, 1 error. The Dolphins have the big 2 right now. That is the difference.
And that hit the batter. So Gauthier was hit by that pitch, takes first base.
Now batting,
and now the Spartans have 2 on.
Number 2, Elise Marcano.
So Marcano now comes up to the plate. First and second, still one out. She walked and scored her first time up. Corner infielders are in for the Dolphins.
That's line to left. Acosta ranges back and makes the catch. 2 gone now, as Elise Marcano was retired on the first pitch.
Well, how many times have we said first pitch, first out is a pitcher's best friend? That's a nice one right there. But an even better play in left field by Acosta, Joe. That was a ripper down the left field line, but she played it nicely.
She did not have much time to react as Adriana Coira looks at strike 1.
Coira made that nice play at short in that previous half inning. She got on base via error her last time up.
She looks at that pitch up and away, 1-1. After taking the lead, if you're the Dolphins here, you'd love to keep this score right where it is and get out of this. As that's taken just off the outside corner.
Maybe just missed a little bit low.
Yeah, I couldn't tell if that was a verbal strike call or a ball.
Yeah. The scoreboard operator was also confused.
Yeah, I don't blame him. As that's hit toward the left field corner, well foul. And that will land out of play.
Yeah, no chance down that left field line for Acosta to make that play.
Count even at 2 now.
Well, we saw Ruth escape the jam out of that last inning, Joe, with back-to-back punch-outs. Now 1 strike away here from getting out of this jam with another strikeout.
2 balls, 2 strikes, 2 outs, and 2 on. Pitch on its way. Swung on and missed, strike 3. Coira goes down swinging, and the Spartans strand 2 more in the second. We head to the home half of inning number 2. CSI over Stack, 2-1.
The Kettle Black on Staten Island, a top 5 wing joint in America by Food and Wine magazine. Serving daily lunch and dinner at the bar or on the floor. Perfect for family and group parties with top shelf drink and delicious food. From great times with good friends. Live sports and watch parties. To Staten Island's hottest nightlife. The Kettle Black features live music and DJs weekly. The Kettle Black features daily and nightly food and drink specials. The best Staten Island has to offer is at the Kettle Black. We'll see you there at the Kettle Black, located on 415 Forest Avenue, Staten Island.
Madeline Paul will lead off for the Dolphins here in the home second inning. Dolphins lead it 2-1. Paul hit her first career home run on Thursday, and she hits one softly on the ground to third. Throw across the diamond in time, and Paul is retired on 1 pitch for out number 1.
Well, we saw a very lengthy inning for Clancy as well, Joe. Both of these pitchers had a very tough first inning of work, and for Clancy, that's a big one. Getting a 1 pitch, 1 out to start the second inning is going to go a long ways for her in this game. And she'll now face Alyssa Acosta.
Alyssa Acosta, Dolphins number 9 hitter, left-handed batter behind her. It's back to the top of the order. First pitch on its way, and that's low for ball 1. The 1 out. Swung on and missed, 1-1.
Fastball a little bit on the outside from Clancy right there. Acosta just a little bit late on that one. His count now is even.
The 1-1. Fouled off. So Ruth, after a tough first inning, put up a 0 in the second for the Dolphins in the circle. That being said, the Spartans did have some traffic on the bases. Dolphins hoping to deny Clancy a clean inning here in the second. She's ahead of Acosta 1-2. And Acosta hits one out towards shallow center. And once again, Raposo comes in to make the catch. 2 gone.
Yeah, again, another outside fastball. Acosta got a piece of it on that one. But Raposo out in center made the play. Now quickly 2 gone the inning. So Clancy's 1 out away from a nice clean 1-2-3 inning after a very lengthy first.
She'll have to get through a tough hitter for that 1-2-3 inning as Anissa Acosta comes to the plate here. Acosta walked her first time up, and she looks at ball 1.
We talked about Acosta's numbers on the season. Big reason why the Dolphins' batting average is the way it is.
She's in the midst of her best season as she takes a strike. And something that really stood out is Acosta didn't like that call, but when you and I were calling that game a few years back, Acosta was the starting pitcher, and
Yes.
she was unquestionably the Dolphins' ace that year.
Yep.
And she takes outside here. And over time, she was phased out of the pitching rotation and became more and more dangerous at the plate.
Yeah. And is a very good first baseman as well for this team defensively.
She's ahead in the count here, 2-1. That's popped up. Well foul.
And notice how they're pitching her in this at-bat, Joe. They are going on the outside, trying to not throw her anything inside that she could turn on and maybe get into the corner in left field. And as we mentioned, she's still in search of her first home run of the season as well.
And I think that's the surprising statistic for her. Obviously, we know she's a great hitter. We know that a 400 batting average for her isn't outside the realm of possibility coming into a season. But to be now in mid-April without a home run is a bit surprising, as that's taken high.
She'd love for us to call it on cue if she hit one right here.
Well, we are known as Jinx Supreme and Jinx Prime. Jinx Prime?
Jinx
That's a
Prime.
pronunciation error. Audio glitch.
Audio glitch. Never happened.
Jinx Supreme and Jinx Prime. The 3-2. Fouled back again.
So after a quick first 2 outs of the inning, Costa has now worked the count again here. As we mentioned, worked the walk her first time up. Has a chance to do it again with a full count of 3-2.
Payoff pitch. Up high, ball 4. And for the second time in as many at-bats and in as many innings, Anissa Acosta has reached on a walk.
Yeah, it was the same kind of at bat the last time she batted the first time up. It was a high fastball on a three-ball count, and she just missed it there. And the Dolphins extend the inning for Carcano.
Corners in again. Not as far as before. And Carcano swinging away, fouls that one off. You give any thought to bunting here, Nick, with 2 outs?
I think with the way they're playing defensively, you would have to bunt it down the first base line.
Well, they're back further now than they were on the first pitch. With where they were, there was no thought as that's fouled back.
It's not a bad idea. I think it's just a little tough.
Well, you won't do it with 2 strikes,
Yeah.
that's for sure. They were way in on that first pitch, and then when Carcano swung the bat, they moved back on 0-1. It's now 0-2. And that's lined into the glove of Coira. That's the second nice play she's made at shortstop as she leaps and makes the backhanded snag on that line drive. The Dolphins strand 1 in the second. They still lead it 2-1. Third inning from the College of Staten Island, with the Dolphins leading the Spartans 2-1. Spartans will send 3, 4, and 5 to the plate as that's bounced to short. And very quickly, Raposo is retired on one pitch.
Well, we saw Clancy start that last half inning, Joe, with a one pitch, one out. And now Ruth starts this inning with a one pitch, one out.
I think in softball, the first pitch, first out is the pitcher's best friend because double plays are very
tough. That's why when we saw Balderas do it twice on Wednesday, we were very stunned because you don't see it very often.
That's true. At the plate now, Sophia Morella, and she takes a strike.
I'm wondering how many times these last couple weeks I've been stunned because it just seems to happen very often these last couple of games.
We'll have to find a way to make a meme of Stone Cold giving you a stunner. Comes the 0-1. That's low.
I have a good one for which one I would want as the meme if I was going to put on a face of someone. I know exactly which one I would want.
Who took it best?
It has to be The Rock.
Rock?
Has to be The Rock. Although Theories was
Theory
a good one.
took it pretty well.
Was a good one.
And then the honorable mention category, Vince McMahon.
Yeah, I want to do that. Yeah, I want to do that.
Can we say his name anymore?
I mean, not really. Well, they don't.
You can't on WWE program.
Yeah, they don't say it. They just allude to it. Of course, our Wrestle Talk with WrestleMania next week as well.
Count 2-1 here. That's outside 3-1.
Meanwhile, for us here on Sportsnet, we have these games here today. Baseball on Tuesday. Heroes Day is next week. Or not Heroes Day, excuse me. Senior Day is next week. And Heroes Day is a week from Thursday.
That's fouled off again, and another full count in this game. 3-2 on Morella.
As well for softball, they're trying to make their playoff push, but we see what baseball is doing as well with their playoff push. I'm sure we'll talk about that more on Tuesday. But the Dolphins are in a pretty good spot early on now, Joe, with a couple weeks left in the season.
Well, I took a look at the standings yesterday. I'm not sure those are up to date, as Morella takes ball 4. So I'll do that right now.
And they have eight conference games remaining for the Dolphins in this season. So you get the sense that there's a certain number mark they have to hit in those 8 games that should clinch them a spot.
Of the 8, I think if they win 3, they probably make the playoffs.
I was thinking 3, maybe
4 would be virtual. I would say it's close to a lock.
Yeah, I would say more than enough if you get 4.
If they win 4, I would go as far as to say that they're very nearly a lock. If they win 3, that might be enough.
Might be enough, yeah.
Might be.
Tuesday, of course, a non-conference game for the Dolphins.
And that is crushed foul down the left field line. Trinidad Santiago at the plate here. Count 1-1.
Santiago definitely wanted a home run ball on that one. We saw the first at-bat from between these two, Joe. It was one of the more lengthier at-bats we've seen here at the softball complex, and the only one that came up to mind that, rivaled it was the at-bat the next inning between Stalker and Clancy.
Count 1-1 here. That's high 2-1, but looking at the softball standings very quickly, I think if you're the Dolphins, it goes without saying. They're in a hole at 1-7. However, if they sweep Queens and sweep Mercy in the final 2 doubleheaders against them, they will have a shot.
Right.
How good that chance is remains to be seen, as that's dribbled foul. They'll have to win some other games. There is some flexibility there with which games they can afford to win, which games they can afford to lose. I think if you win both today, you give yourselves a great chance heading into the final 2 weeks. If you win one, I think you're alive.
Yeah.
But it won't be easy.
Like
if you lose both, that might be it.
You can't afford to lose both.
Yeah.
Because if you look at the standings, the Dolphins are 2 back in the win column, 4 back in the loss column. That puts them at 3 behind Mercy. But as you and I already know, with them losing that doubleheader to Mercy, it's effectively another game ahead. So it's pretty much a 4-game deficit the Dolphins have to make up in that 13-day span that they have over the next 2 weeks.
And we have yet another full count here on Santiago.
Santiago tied for the team lead in home runs.
That's grounded foul. Meanwhile, if you're the Spartans, you're firmly in the driver's seat. They're atop the conference right now.
They were tied for the conference lead last year.
With 8 wins in 10 games, they're almost a lock at this point. It really looks like right now, based on the standing, it's going to be a race for 4th between 3 teams.
Right.
And then one of those 3 teams in the bottom half of the standings will get in. Comes the 3-2, and that is crushed foul again. This one, well foul.
Yeah, Ruth again going on the inside, and Santiago trying to pull it down the left field line. And I mentioned last time they had a lengthy at bat. Another lengthy one here. Still 3-2.
That's popped up, and again, it will land in foul ground. Another lengthy battle, back and forth.
I feel bad for our ball runner today. He's got to do some work.
Jamel's having a rough day, but he is a runner, so he's used to it.
He also helped towards the end of the portion for lining up the field.
It's grounded foul again.
The line of the day for him was, "I wish I brought hand sanitizer."
That's usually a good idea coming into a game out here.
Yeah.
But the sanitizer kind of dries your hands out a bit. They need a water line down here somewhere. At least we could rinse. That is crushed foul again.
He just came back from retrieving those two, and now he's going to go get another one.
Poor Jamel. They're having some laughs at
They
his expense over there.
They might have to pay him extra today.
He's doing this job alone. What is this?
I know.
They got to start bringing in a second foul ball runner. It's still 3-2 on Santiago. There's another one.
Well, at least it hit the up. No, it went all the way.
That is into the woods, halfway to Willowbrook Park.
I don't think Kennedy's doing him any favors by keep throwing it inside.
That's definitely not helping. But if you're the batter here, Santiago has seen a lot of pitches now, and she's clearly on that pitch.
Yeah.
Just a bit in front. She's squaring these balls up, however. And that is hit about as softly as possible.
And they turn the double
Dolphins
play.
turn another double play. Motley applies the tag and throws out the runner at first. The dugout loves it. And we head to the home third inning with the Dolphins leading the Spartans 2-1.
That's a timeout on betting. It completely changed the game, and you didn't even notice. Let me break it down for you. Betting ads are applying full court pressure and getting you to play the game. Many of you are falling for it and losing big money. Addiction is happening in some more than others. Now players are getting harassed by bettors. And we all know that's not how the game is won. So it's on us to be good teammates and draw the line to stay ahead of betting consequences.
Home third inning from the CSI softball complex with Amanda Stalker leading things off for the Dolphins. And she looks at ball one.
Well, Joe, we saw another lengthy at-bat between Santiago and Ruth. Second time today. Stalker had a very lengthy at-bat her first time as well, but she batted. And keep in mind, she was able to reach base after an error was made behind the plate and worked the walk.
That's hit well to left center field. That ball will one-hop the fence, and Stalker will pull into second base standing with a leadoff double.
Well, Joe, we talked about the lengthy at-bat, and when you get a lengthy at-bat like that, you kind of see what the pitcher's been throwing you a bunch of times. She found that fastball and crushed it in the left center field. A couple of inches away from hitting another home run on the season for her. And now Balderas has an early RBI opportunity here in the third.
And when Jinx Supreme talks about a lengthy at-bat, you know the hitter is first pitch swinging.
She took a couple.
Eileen Balderas, the batter now. That's fouled back.
Balderas grounded out her last time on a fielder's choice.
0-1. Swing and a miss.
Nice pitch in the dirt right there from Clancy. Got her fooled on that breaking ball that we've seen a couple times here in this game. Is that quickly ahead of the count?
0-2 the count on Balderas. At the very least, she'd like to move that runner over to third. And she takes high.
And we talked about it earlier, where Clancy has gotten into these these two-strike counts, has had some issues trying to get that strikeout. Doesn't want to lose Balderas here. Still ahead of the count, 1-2.
1-2. Hit down the left field line, not very deep, and caught in left field by Coira for the first out.
Another breaking ball right there, and Balderas looked like it was just under on that one. That's a big first out for the Spartans.
Now we'll bring up Olivia Wanzer. That's it out to straightaway center. Raposo right there. Stalker will stay put. And there are 2 gone in the inning.
So it'll be up to Warner again here, Joe. 2-run single her last time up. Has another runner in scoring position here with 2 gone. But nice job by Clancy to get those 2 fly balls after giving up the double to start the inning. And is now 1 out away from getting out of this jam.
That double by Warner, a huge hit early in this game with the Dolphins facing a scoreless inning after they loaded the bases with nobody out. Here, Warner behind 0-1.
Another great off-speed pitch. Clancy's really worked that into our arsenal these last couple of bats.
0-1. Up and away, 1-1.
And if you remember, that's what the pitch that she hit to get that 2-run single. It was an off-speed pitch by Clancy after she threw one the previous one that was fouled off. Warner was able to hit it into right field to bring home those 2 runs.
There's a called strike 1 and 2.
That one on the outside corner. And once again, Clancy has Warner in a 2-strike count.
One, 2. Hitting the air right side. And fighting the sun to make that catch was Marcano. And that will do it for the Dolphins in the 3rd inning. We head to the 4th. Staten Island over Stack, 2-1.
NCAA athletes don't just compete, they make history. Representing our nation with pride and excellence, they bring home the hardware. Our college campuses serve as training grounds for the next generation of stars. Catch tomorrow's Olympians and Paralympians on the NCAA Championship stage today.
Fourth inning from the College of Staten Island. To the plate for Stack in this half inning. 6, 7, 8. Now there, I thought, was a delay on the field. Apparently not. There was a look toward the dugout after that first pitch. I wasn't sure why.
Not sure either.
It is 1-0. At the plate here, Jessica Fierick. That's popped up on the infield. Warner calls and makes the catch.
Well, Joe, you know what I loved about that last inning from Ruth? We know that she's a very good, capable pitcher in terms of her fastball. On that pitch that she got the double play, she went with an off-speed pitch, went with the breaking ball, and was able to induce that double play that went right towards Motley, and Motley made the nice heads-up play to get the tag and made a quick throw to first to retire the side.
Well, Motley had to be decisive there. Quickly attacked the runner and threw to first, as that's taken down and away by Maristela Coira. She's ahead 1-0. Coira 0 for 1 at the plate in this game. That's a low ball, 2.
We've seen Ruth, so far through 3 innings in this game, has gotten into trouble each inning, but the last 2 innings, she's been able to get out of it. Trying to avoid anything here and get a clean inning.
2-0. Hit sharply on the ground. Diving stop, Balderas. Throw to first. Almost got her. Close play. But
Can't be
certain that Coira beat it.
Yeah, you can't be upset if you're the Dolphins right there. That was a great play by Balderas. Not an easy throw as well, and she put it right there. Looks like she missed it just by a step.
Yeah, I thought initially it was going to be a bad play to throw it. I didn't think they had a chance, and she made it close.
Yeah, a great throw from Balderas. Like I said, you cannot be upset if you're the Dolphins. A great defensive play, but they just missed the out. It's an infield single for the Spartans.
That's ball 1 to Olivia Leone. Leone 1 for 1. Pops this one up. Shallow right. And ranging back from the infield to make the catch was Motley.
So 2 gone in the inning.
Now, did the Dolphins use this alignment on Wednesday, last time we covered them, defensively?
Warner was not playing third.
I didn't think so.
No, she was playing second
Judson
in the
was
second
at third
game.
for at least
Judson,
one game.
Judson was at third in the second game. The first game, I believe, I'm trying to remember off the top of my head. I don't think it was Motley.
Yeah, if not Warner, it was Motley, but I think it may have been Warner. Though Warner didn't arrive at the start of the first game, so I'm not sure who was at third. Had to be Motley, right?
Paige Bell.
Paige Bell, you're right,
Yeah.
yep. That's fouled back.
That's what that went for the second. Yeah, so Bell started game 1 at third. Game 2, it was Judson.
Right.
If you remember that play at second base from Warner to end the game, that diving catch.
Count 0-2 here. That just missed.
And I mentioned that in the broadcast that she really wanted that out, especially after what happened that previous half inning where you and I described it as one of the more funnier moments we've seen here
That was
on
a
the
comedic
broadcast.
moment for sure. Jordan Gauthier at the plate here, behind 1-2. And she pops one up. Warner calls and makes the catch. Side retired. Quick inning for Kennedy Ruth. Despite the infield hit, the Spartans go down quickly. Dolphins come to bat in the 4th. They lead it 2-1.
If you want to win in every arena of college life, go D2. Make it yours.
Bridget Motley leads off for the Dolphins in the home fourth inning. She looks at ball one.
Never been more happy to see the sun come out, Joe, the way this day was starting.
Looking at the forecast yesterday, it said mid to high 50s. So it looked promising. As many rainouts and as much bad weather as we've had in the area, the game days themselves have all been pretty much perfect weather, with the exception of the one baseball doubleheader that we had in the rain. And Motley's hit by that pitch.
Might have hit her on the elbow pad.
The catcher, number 4, Madeline Paul.
Yeah, it got her. Looks like right on the belt is where she was pointing. So now we'll bring up Madeline Paul.
With the Dolphin lineup, trying to do some work and try to get that top of the lineup with some runners on.
That's bunted by Paul back toward the circle. Tough play, Clancy, and the throw is just in time.
Nice bunt right there from Paul. Great sacrifice. Not an easy play for the pitcher right there, Clancy, to make the out. We might get a potential.
We're going to get a pinch runner here, Nick. Yep.
I think we also might have a. Did you say pinch runner? I think we're going to have a pinch hitter.
Pinch hitter?
I see Kanoth coming up. Kanoth. I always, I'm so used to it from last year, Joe.
It's true. I thought the Dolphins were about to pinch run. They are going to pinch hit.
So Acosta going towards the dugout. So Kanoth now comes up with an RBI opportunity. There we go.
So Natalia Kanoth will be the pinch hitter. And we said it during our last broadcast for much of last year. Kanoth was the first bat off of the Dolphins bench. And she is indeed the first bat off the bench with a runner in scoring position and one out here in the fourth, as it has become awfully quiet.
Is it too quiet is the question.
Now batting for the Dolphins, number 24, Natalia Kanoth.
Now we're good.
But now I can't hear you. It's a no-win situation. For us, anyway. Kanoth, the batter. And she looks at a strike.
Sometimes I don't even like to hear my own self.
You know, I say it all the time. I grew up hating the sound of my own voice.
Yeah,
I never liked hearing my own voice.
There's sometimes I don't like to watch our own broadcast just for that reason. I don't like to hear myself talk.
And Kanoth is hit by the pitch.
Second hit batter of the inning for Clancy. But now, the problem for that, Joe, is now it's back to the top of the lineup.
Coast is going to re-enter here.
Yeah.
So Kanoth gets on via the second hit batter of the inning. Acosta will run it first.
Alyssa Acosta. And now batting for the Dolphins, the first baseman, number 34, Anissa Acosta.
I did tell Sam, if you had a chance to announce the substitutions, go right for it.
So just go tell Sam, Stephanie, that when the same player comes back, it's a re-entry. Anissa Acosta, the batter.
It's not the worst thing he said.
You just tossed him under the bus?
No.
Implying he said something worse.
No,
fast line
I'm
to right
not.
center, falling fast and down for a hit. It takes a bad hop through the right fielder. Gauthier misplayed it, and it got behind her, allowing the run to score. I don't think Acosta's getting an RBI for that one, but she will get a base hit. And the Dolphins now lead it 3-1.
It's tough because that one was it did take a bad bounce. The question is if it's an RBI single regardless. But the Dolphins will take the run either way, Joe. It's now a 3-1 lead.
Behind the wall. That's bunted foul by Mariah Carcano. Big spot here for the Dolphins with a runner on third and less than 2 outs. If you're CSI, you need to cash in here.
Yeah, I'm looking back at the replay for that last play.
That's bunted in front of home plate. And Acosta will wisely hold at third. Carcano effectively was conceded first base, but she'll be given a bunt single there.
And for the second time in this game, Amanda Stalker come up with a runner in scoring position, but this time around, it's the bases loaded and a big spot for Clancy now trying to get out of this jam. Still just 1 out of the inning.
Well, if there are 2 Dolphins you don't want to face with the bases loaded, one is at the plate and the other is on deck. As Stalker takes down and away, you could also make the case that one is standing on second base as well.
Yep.
But the Dolphins with a huge opportunity here to potentially break this game open with an extra base hit.
As well of a placed bunt right there from Carcano.
Stalker ahead 2-0 now, and Clancy is backed into a corner here.
So on the hit for Acosta, are we giving that, is there an error on that play as well because of the bounce?
Yeah, an error allowed the run to score.
That's what I figured as well. So I'll have to tell a scoreboard operator in the next half inning.
Yeah, I don't think the run was scoring.
I don't think so either.
Play.
I was mentioning before the hit, that one was called for a strike. I was looking at the replay, and if you look at where the ball bounced and where the runner wasn't even near third before the ball bounced. So it definitely played a factor.
Yep. Stalker now ahead 2-1. That sliced foul and out of play.
And also back to our other previous comment, I wasn't throwing Sam under the bus. I was saying he could have said something completely worse.
It was by implication.
I wasn't Sam's doing a great job.
You said that it's not the worst thing that he said, which implied that he said something worse.
He did not. Sam's done a good job so far. This is his first day doing
It is
PA.
his first day on PA. And that's hit well, right center field. And that ball will be caught on the warning track. And heading back to first was Carcano. Strong throw from out in right field. We know Mariah has good speed, but Gautier made sure she had to hold it first.
And for the
run does come in to score.
And for the second time in this game, Joe, Stalker didn't miss a home run by much. That was a deep fly ball into right center. And not only a great catch out of right center, but as you mentioned, a good strong throw to keep Carcano at first. But the Dolphins do bring home that 4th run and now take a 4-1 lead.
Sacrifice fly for Stalker and a 3-run lead now for the Dolphins. They're in front 4-1. And Eileen Balderas takes a strike on the inside corner. The 0-1 fouled off. The 0-2 popped up behind the plate, lands foul. Costa the runner at third, Carcano on first.
You know, Balderas can get into the gap. With Carcano's speed at first, could certainly bring home not 1 but 2 runs with an extra base hit.
Another 0-2. Outside, 1 and 2.
If you're Clancy, you can afford that right there. Again, that outside pitch, try and make her chase. Still want to get this out right here and at least minimize the damage and head to the next half inning still down 3.
1-2. Grounded down the line, foul again. Balderas yet to make solid contact on any of these foul balls. It looks like Clancy is coming just that close to a strikeout. But we said it before, the more pitches you see, the more to your advantage things begin to turn in the batter's box. It's 1 and 2 on Balderas. And she takes in the dirt, 2 and 2.
Another one of those off-speed pitches we've seen here today from Clancy, but as you mentioned, it missed in the dirt. And now Balderas evens the count at 2. And for Clancy, you mentioned it, trying to avoid having another at-bat where she was up in the count with 2 strikes, failing to get a strikeout.
2-2. Crushed foul. And I said it before, Nick. She's seen a few more right on that one.
Yeah, another inside pitch as well. She's seen a couple of those inside pitches in this game from Clancy. And we'll do it again on 2-2.
2 balls, 2 strikes, 2 outs, and 2 on for the Dolphins. They lead it 4-1. And Balderas pops it up. Shallow right, foul ground, and it lands. Just found an opening.
Yeah. She got her to chase on that fastball. Balderas, to her credit, did make contact with it, but just went foul down that right field line.
Clancy at 84 pitches. Here comes number 85. Line towards second and caught. Marcano reaches up and makes the catch, and the Dolphins settle for 2 in the 4th. However, CSI now leads it by 3 runs. Our score headed to the 5th. CSI 4 and Stack 1.
In NCAA Division II, student athletes leave a lasting impression on their communities. That's because Division II student athletes want to make a difference and truly be part of their surrounding communities. Through community engagement, thousands of student athletes from various backgrounds interact with community members who view them as role models. This interaction leaves a positive and perhaps even life-changing impression on all those involved. In Division II, we rise to the opportunity and make community engagement ours.
And then do Elise Marcano will lead things off.
So we told Leah Fierick is going to replace Gautier in the 9 spot. Three for 15. Yeah.
All right. Stats desk, which is a part of our commentary desk today, getting the substitution. We're good to go. That pitch misses for ball 1.
Still thinking about that mistake I made on Wednesday with substitutions. I said the wrong thing for the circle.
Oh, yeah? Well, you won't say it again.
I'm not going to say it again. If I do, they take me out the broadcast.
I'll actually do it, so don't say that and then make a mistake.
I'll do it myself. You don't even have to do it for me.
Just put your headset down.
I'm just going to put it down and say, you know what?
You can send Sam over. You take the microphone. I'm sure he'll be happy to join me. Top of the order coming up for the Spartans here in the 5th, and they have a leadoff bunt single. No chance for the Dolphins there, and Marcano reaches.
Yeah, that was just another well-placed bunt, this time for Marcano, and no play for Warner, no play for Rude, really no play for any of the Dolphins right there in that vicinity. And as you mentioned, it's an early bunt single to start this 5th inning.
That will bring up Adriana Coira.
Dolphins corner infielders moving in.
Runner going, throw to second, a good one.
Oh, I thought they did, Joe.
Tag just late.
Yeah. I thought they got her there for a second.
It was close. I don't know if we're going to have a great view of it, but we can get one more look. Slow that down as well. I think she was in there. I think the throw beat her, the tag did not. Any clarity?
Not much, but the throw was definitely there on time. I'm wondering if, as you mentioned, maybe the tag was just a second late. Maybe that's the reason. Like I mentioned, I thought right off the rip that was a caught stealing. That was a great throw from Paul.
Yeah, I thought the throw was there. And the runner now will take third on a pitch in the dirt. So very quickly after the Dolphins scored 2 in the bottom half of the 4th, Spartans have a runner on third with nobody out here in the 5th.
And especially with the heart of the order coming up for the Spartans, this is an out that Ruth would like to get.
That's fouled straight back. And I was about to mention the other day during the game on Thursday, the Spartans utilized the bunt in that game as well to power an inning. And the Dolphins, without an answer on that first bunt, it's 2-2 now. Bunt not a factor here. Pitch to Coira. Hit back toward the circle and through to second. Motley throws out Coira at first. The run comes in to score. And it's now 4-2 Staten Island.
Well, if you're the Dolphins, you'll certainly take the out right there, especially now with with Raposo coming up to the plate. We know her numbers on the season. I mentioned her batting average. She's also tied for the team lead in home runs, so that was a big out to get. Now you bring her up with Raposo with nobody on base.
First pitch, in for a strike, 0-1. One. Hit well to left, and that ball is out of here. And you said it, Nick. You did not want to face Raposo as the tying run, and that's exactly why. She homers to left, and the Spartans will greet her at the plate as the Dolphin lead has been cut to a single run. It's now 4-3.
Her 8th home run of the season, and that's why you don't want to face her with runners on scoring position or any on base. A crusher down the left field line, and now it's a one-run game. 4-3 Staten Island.
Now batting, the designated player, number 33, Sophia Morella.
That will bring up Sophia Morella. Morella, without an official at bat in this game, has walked twice. And she takes a strike.
And I think if you're Ruth here, Joe, you still have the lead. You have a 4-3 lead now after the home run. Just need to find some confidence, get out of this inning, and keep that lead heading into the bottom half of the inning.
0-1. Line down the right field line, fair ball. Stalker meets it in the corner, and Morella will hold it first with a one-out single.
Well, I mentioned earlier that that pitch was used to get that double play ball at second from Motley. That time, another off-speed pitch, but it was well-timed and well-hit down that right field line. And now the tying run is at first base for the Spartans.
And Nick, now that the Spartans have really hit a couple of balls hard, are you starting to think about maybe a pitching change
Yeah,
here?
you might have to. What's the pitch count have right now for Ruth?
Steph will get that to us after the substitution, but
We also have
it's getting up there.
Naya Diaz is pitch running at first. She's pitch running at first base.
97 pitch count.
97, yeah. She's got to be near the end of it here. I think if you're Tracy Garofalo and your staff, you want to see if she can get out of this inning, and then you'll turn to the bullpen in the next inning. But you might be running out of time to do so.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm waiting that long, Nick. I think the quality of the contact is what's concerning.
Yeah.
That home run and then that line drive down the line, but
I can tell you, I think there is action towards our left in the bullpen.
There is.
I do see it, kinda.
Santiago and Fierick a combined 0 for 4 against Ruth, so I think you consider that as well.
But if you remember, Santiago has had the most lengthy at-bats in this game with Ruth. Despite her being 0-2, she's been a contributor. She's contributed to this game just based off the fact that she's had those 2 lengthy at-bats. Now behind here, 0-2.
That's fouled back again. Well, if you're Ruth, this an out that you absolutely want to get without that runner moving into scoring position.
Santiago, another dangerous hitter in this lineup. You really need this out.
Another 0-2. Fouled off again.
Again, something we've seen similar, going back to the inside on Santiago. But again, Santiago was able to turn on the inside and foul it off.
That misses for ball one.
Didn't look like she missed by much on that one. That's a pitch that you're not too upset if you're the Dolphins. Just we're hoping for the strike call. And the count 1-2.
1-2 up high. 2-2 now. You said it, Nick. Santiago gave Ruth some trouble earlier. Ruth ultimately won the battle. It's now 2-2. That's way upstairs, ball three.
These last two have definitely been the concerning ones, Joe. She's missed pretty badly with those last two fastballs high. And I think no matter what happens in this at-bat, this is going to be our last at-bat in this game.
I think you're probably right. Comes the 3-2. And she strikes Santiago out. I think she buys herself one more at that strikeout,
right
Nick.
there. How about that, Joe? 3 lengthy at-bats against Santiago today, and she has won the battle each time. 0 for 3 day for Santiago, and a huge out number 2 recorded by the Dolphin starter.
And perhaps right now, more importantly, the tying run stays at first. There's a big swing and a miss there.
And despite her being in the triple digits in terms of pitch count, she's still throwing that fastball at a high velocity.
Jessica Fierick at the plate here. As I mentioned before, she's 0 for 2. Naya Diaz, the runner over at first. And once again, Ruth gets ahead 0-2 as we have a ball lodged in the fence.
I'm not going to climb that one.
Is that my excuse to scale the fence for fun?
I'm sure they can get it down at some point.
We'll have to peg it with another ball.
Yeah.
That's stuck in there pretty good. The 0-2 outside, 1-2.
Well, we saw Ruth earlier in the first inning when she gave up a run, got out of the inning with back-to-back punch-outs. Just one strike away from doing it again here, and ending her day with 5 innings of work, and still having a 1-run lead.
1-2. Up high, 2-2.
Fierick not chasing on those 2 previous fastballs right there. The second straight at bat, Joe. 0-2 to now 2-2.
The last at bat did run full. Here comes the 2-2. That's fouled away again. These Spartan hitters have really made Kennedy Ruth work. She is at 110 pitches now. 2 outs here in the 5th. Another 2-2. High ball 3.
So now for the second straight at bat, now it runs full, but now with 2 outs. Diaz at first base is going to get a little bit of a head start. And a base hit for Fierick could potentially, depending on where it goes, could bring home that runner and tie this game.
3-2 on its way. That's fouled off again.
And back inside in that fastball. We've seen Ruth do that a bunch of times in this game. Fierick this time having to turn it on the hands. Just hit it fouled in the left field line.
It remains 3-2. Pitch fouled off again.
Wish I have counted in this game how many at-bats we've had in this one between these 2 teams where it's been a 10-pitch at-bat. We've had a bunch of them.
There have been quite a few on both sides, especially on the Spartan side. Another 3-2 pitch is fouled off again.
That ball still remains in the fence.
How many 3-2s have we seen now?
A
There's
lot.
4?
Yeah. Fierick doing a good job right here, fouling off a couple pitches.
Another
once
3-2
again.
coming. Hit out to right. Stalker there, and she makes the catch. So the Dolphins will hold on to their lead. However, that lead has been trimmed back down to a run. Our score, Staten Island 4, Stack 3.
No, I'm right. The podcast that uncovers the origin stories of some of the biggest names in sports, media, and entertainment. Nick Durst here along with Joe Calabrese.
Here we are, 200 episodes later, about 150 episodes with guests, our friends, soon to be your friends.
Well, it's pretty clear, Joe, that it's all about You Know I'm Right, the podcast. That's my You Know I'm Right moment. Wanted to do a podcast, and everyone was like, what are you, crazy? Who's going to listen? You're not going to get guests. Well, guess what? I'm the best when it comes to getting guests. You could vouch for that.
I am so happy that you asked me to do this. I couldn't have been more thrilled. And follow us on socials, check us out. I promise you, if you want to work in media, whether you work in media now, whether you want to quit your job and work in media, come to us, and I promise you, we will get you on the right foot.
That's what it's all about, uncovering the origin stories of some of the biggest names in sports, media, and entertainment. Keep it locked on You Know I'm Right.
Home fifth inning from the CSI softball complex. Dolphins lead back down to a run. 4-3 Staten Island as Olivia Wanzer takes ball one.
Now, Joe, before that first pitch, what was the pitch count for Clancy heading into this half inning?
85.
So, depending on how this inning goes for Clancy.
There's a called strike, 1-1.
If you're stacked, if you get a clean inning here, you could definitely bring her out for the sixth. But if she works herself into trouble like Ruth did in that previous half inning, this could be Clancy's last inning in this game.
1-1. Hit sharply but foul. One and two the count on Wanzer. She's 0 for 2 in this game. And she takes in the dirt, 2 and 2.
Clancy's trying to get her to chase on that breaking ball on the dirt. No avail there. Now it's 2 and 2.
2-2, half swing, dribbled foul.
Yeah, you could sense she would give it a little bit of a smile. She was just a little bit fooled on that breaking ball. I think she was expecting the fastball, and by the time she realized it was the breaking ball, at least wanted to get a little bit of a piece of it.
Count 2 and 2 now. That just missed.
Didn't miss by much.
Count full on Wanzer now, 3 and 2. Here we
one.
are again. 3-2. Hit well to left, down the line. Foul ball.
Just foul. Tracy making a nice run into left field, trying to get it to go fair.
He's trying to play umpire there.
The question is, do you think the wind is kind of here? That could have definitely played a factor in that ball going just foul.
Two again in the dirt, ball 4.
Nice at bat right there by Wanzer, Joe. Almost hit a home run that previous pitch, but was able to work the walk. And she'll be probably pitch ran in this spot with Olivia Warner coming up.
See who the runner is in just a moment. O'Neal is going to pinch run here.
Pinch running for the Dolphins. Number 16, Emma O'Neal.
Warner already, Joe, in this game already has a big hit. A 2-run single back in the first inning. Now O'Neal comes up with the runner on. Or should say O'Neal's on first base with Warner coming up to the plate. Dolphins trying to extend their lead after Stack cut it to 1 in that last half inning.
Well, that hit by Warner, as I mentioned, a huge hit at the time. Now she bats with a runner on first, nobody out, and they'll throw behind O'Neill, who gets back.
And you got to wonder, after that, a nice at bat to start this inning for the Dolphins, you got to wonder how much longer is Clancy going to stay in this game for the Spartans.
She's quickly closing in on 100 pitches as well. So that's taken high. That was number 95, and she's behind Warner 2-0.
We might have a change right here.
Could be.
I think it is.
And there is going to be a pitching change here for the Spartans. Madison Pupolo will come in to pitch. And with that, we'll step aside and take a quick break. It's a 2-0 count that Pupolo will inherit against Warner. O'Neill, the runner on first. Dolphins lead it 4-3.
Dear softball, where to begin with what you have given me? I have struggled with you at times, but you have unequivocally made me who I am today. You have given me light in the darkest times where I thought light could not enter. Growing up, you were there for me when social groups may not have been. You were there through familiar hard times, and you never gave up on me. You have introduced me to so many influential people in my life, and I wouldn't have dreamt of meeting if it was not for you. You always kept me motivated to pursue a dream. No matter what was going on in life, you kept inspiring me to chase my dreams. And you have taught me many life lessons of overcoming, perseverance, and what it truly means to dedicate yourself to your craft. You have taught me that success is not guaranteed or promised, and that it is earned every second of every day. Softball, you have guided me, pushed me to be my best, and inspired me. You kept me going when I thought I had no more to give. At times, you were my last hope. You have led me to this moment here, today, where I could not be more indebted to you. My name is Jenna Lilly. I am a senior softball player at the University of Oregon, majoring in sociology with a minor in psychology.
Inheriting a 2-0 count, Madison Pupolo comes in to pitch for the Spartans and deals a strike to Olivia Warner. There's a swing and a miss.
Did you see that? Did you see that stance, Joe? A very interesting stance that Pupolo has.
Well, I can't see it through the backstop and the umpire, so you'll have to fill me in as that's popped up shallow right field and caught. One away.
Now, a note I was making to you during our break is that after Clancy, Pupolo has the second most starts on this team. So you figure that she will try to finish this game, and then you would have to think she'll probably start game 2 of this doubleheader.
That is certainly a possibility. Something we'll monitor in terms of pitch count the rest of the way as Bridget Motley takes a strike. And if that is indeed the plan, her objective is to come in and throw strikes, and she's doing just that right now. Motley held the swing, but I believe that was a called strike.
It was. I think they called it on the swing, though. And if you remember, Joe, as well, Pupolo started game 2 of that doubleheader, got the CGSO in that game, and that 3-0 win for the Spartans.
2 swung on and missed for strike 3. 2 Dolphins up, 2 Dolphins down against Pupolo. Madeline Paul will be the batter.
Pupolo in that game pitched 7 innings, allowed 6 hits, no runs, 2 walks, 2 strikeouts, and threw 92 pitches in that game.
There's ball 1 to Paul. Paul checked the swing, 2-0.
Dolphins trying to get a little bit of a 2-out rally here in this 5th, now with only 1-run lead.
2-0. Down and away. 3-0 now. Alyssa Acosta on deck.
And we already know that the Dolphins, they will go to the bullpen in the next inning, so we'll have to see who comes out for CSI, but they're hoping to at least inherit this lead, maybe even further. If the Dolphins get another run here in this half inning.
Paul looks at a strike there, and keep in mind as well, the Dolphins did pinch hit for Alyssa Acosta already in this game. She is on deck. So if the Dolphins wanted to pinch hit again, she would have to exit the game permanently. As Paul swings and misses for strike 2.
So after behind the count 3-0, Pumpelo has now gotten back-to-back strikes. And now we'll see O'Neal go in motion here on a full count, 3-2.
Payoff pitch. Hit pretty well deep to center, but not well enough. And the catch is made by Raposo to retire the side. Dolphins strand 1 on base in the 5th. We're through 5 at the College of Staten Island. CSI over Stack, 4-3.
Hobra, a taco joint, Staten Island, where we're proud to have shared our family-first spirit with people from throughout New York City and the world. With indoor dining available both at the bar and on the floor. Or step outside for additional seating and an outdoor bar. Serving beer that's crisp, ice cold, and worthy of a day at the beach. Cocktails that explode with flavor. And great food made with the freshest and healthiest ingredients available. Events feature food and drink specials. Live music. And the best of Staten Island nightlife. Your CSI Student ID saves you 10% on your dine-in order at Hobra. Visit us at 412 Forest Avenue, Staten Island.
Sixth inning from the College of Staten Island in a 1-run game. It's been a good one between the Dolphins and the Spartans. CSI leads it 4-3. For Stack in the road 6th inning. 7, 8, 9 to the plate. Coira, Leone, Fierick. That's sliced foul. And Nick, we spoke about it during the last inning, thinking perhaps the Dolphins might make a pitching change as Kennedy Ruth began to run into some trouble. A couple of hard hit balls. Well over 100 pitches. She's back out there 115 pitches deep.
Yeah, and we'll see if she can get a clean inning. Dolphins, of course, are hoping for a clean inning here. Try to hold on to that lead and get her some insurance runs heading into the 7th.
I think if you're the Dolphins, you really have to watch out for that bunt. They are aware the corners are in, but this is up and away. And I think you need to be really careful of those being inning starters. Those bunts that come at a time where perhaps your corners aren't in, and then you have a leadoff base runner. Unlikely to be a factor here on 2-1, but we'll see. That's fought off foul, 2-2.
And I think the decision-making in terms of bringing Ruth back out is, you're facing the bottom of the order, so this is the spot that you want to get these 3 outs in. But then once you go back, if she was to stay in from the top of the lineup, it will be the 4th time that she's faced those hitters in this game. So I'm wondering how long in this inning she would go.
That just missed. 3-2. That's a big call right there.
Dolphin dugout faithful certainly not happy with that call. And once again, Joe, it's full of 3-2.
Statman is here. So that's a tripled foul.
He's been here.
Yeah? Where was he?
He's been hovering around the dugout, but we saw him earlier.
Oh. I had no idea. 3-2 the count. Spartans looking for a leadoff base runner. Ruth looking for the first out. Another 3-2. Fouled off again.
Ruth's going to need a lot of ice after this game with the amount of pitches that she's thrown.
She has been laboring through this game, not just an inning or two. There have been a lot of very tough innings. 3-2, fouled off again.
And how many times has she gotten into this count alone, and Stack has been able to foul off pitches and just prolong the at-bat even further. She's won a couple of those battles to her credit, but it has taken her a long way to get to that win.
Well, we've seen both pitchers have some trouble putting hitters away. And Clancy ultimately was chased out of the game, as that misses for ball 4.
Now batting, the catcher.
Leadoff walk,
Olivia Leone.
drawn by Coira, and Olivia Leone comes to the plate. We'll see if they ask her to bunt.
I was going to say, Joe, if I'm the Dolphins infield, I'm looking for a bunt in this spot. I would not be surprised if they try to move the runner to second.
Leone did have a base hit earlier. She is showing bunt and takes up and away as they look toward first, but no throw.
You talked about that pitch on 2-2 that got called for ball 3, and you mentioned how that's a pivotal call so far in this inning. Now the Dolphins are hoping that it doesn't hurt them as they try to hold on to this lead.
Leone bunts, fielded cleanly by Acosta, and the Dolphins get the out at first base. Sacrifice successful, and the tying run moves into scoring position.
A 3-4 sacrifice right there to get the first out of the inning. But as you mentioned, the runner now, the tying run moves into scoring position. And after this right here for Fierick, who comes up to the plate, it's back to the top of the lineup. So if you're Ruth, you want to get a second out. And then the Dolphins will have to make a big decision in terms of the top of the lineup coming back up.
That's taken outside, ball 1. Aaliyah Fierick gets her first at bat of the game. Ahead 1-0. Behind Fierick, it's back to the top of the order. Pitch 128 from Ruth. And she offered at it on a bunt attempt. 1-1.
Stack faithful not happy with that call. It's count now
That's
even
a big
at 1.
call. Instead of 2-0, it's 1-1. And that's a called strike.
Now you can't show bunt here on 1-2. So Fierick will have to swing away. But Ruth is a strike away from an all-important second out.
1-2 pitch. Tap to third. Warner has time, and her throw resulted in a tag applied, but they do get the out at first.
Yeah, Costa's foot initially came off the bag, and she just got it back in time.
Moving up to third was Coira. So you have to be careful here not to put one in the dirt, not to throw a wild pitch, make the Spartans earn that tying run. That's hit in the air, foul ground, out of play.
Well, as I mentioned, the top of the lineup comes up here with 2 gone from Marcano, and this is her 4th time batting in this game. Not officially, but it's her 4th time up. And Ruth would love to get this final out right here, give the Dolphins 6 brilliant innings.
Marcano 1 for 2 officially. And that's lined toward left. Acosta ranging in makes the catch. And the Dolphins will hold on to their 1-run lead. We head to the home 6th. The Dolphins looking for some insurance. They lead it 4-3.
The Kettle Black on Staten Island, a top 5 wing joint in America by Food and Wine magazine. Serving daily lunch and dinner at the bar or on the floor. Perfect for family and group parties with top shelf drink and delicious food. From great times with good friends, live sports and watch parties, to Staten Island's hottest nightlife. The Kettle Black features live music and DJs weekly. The Kettle Black features daily and nightly food and drink specials. The best Staten Island has to offer is at the Kettle Black. We'll see you there at the Kettle Black, located on 415 Forest Avenue, Staten Island.
We are back from the CSI softball complex. The Dolphins leading 4-3 and looking for some insurance here in the home 6th inning. Madison Pupolo back out for her second inning of work, inherited a 2-0 count with nobody out in the last inning, and was able to keep it a 1-run ball game as Alyssa Acosta takes ball 2, 2-0.
9-1-2 up in the inning for the Dolphins here, Joe, and you really get the sense that they need to at least get one run and give their pitch, whoever the pitch is going to pitch the 7th inning, they need to give them insurance.
2-0. Inside, ball 3.
Especially with 2, 3, and 4 coming up for Stack in the 7th inning, they can really afford to get a run at least.
Kennedy Ruth over 130 pitches, likely to come out for the 7th, I think. We weren't sure she'd get through the 5th.
Yeah. Tracy Garofalo was very pumped up at that last
Sure was. It's 3-1 on Acosta. That's high for ball 4.
Early walk issued by Pupolo right there, and it's a dangerous one, Joe, because now it's back to the top of the lineup, and Anissa Acosta.
That's a bad walk, Nick. You do not want to walk the 9-hitter to lead off an inning where your opponent's looking for some insurance. Pitch to Anissa Acosta, fouled off, 0-1. Comes the 0-1. And that gets away to the backstop. Acosta will move up to second, and the Dolphins have an all-important insurance run in scoring position.
And what a spot to have it in with the top of the lineup up. These are the spots that if you want to get an RBI and bring home an insurance run, these are the batters you want up in this situation.
And that's it on a line deep to right field, and that is down for an extra base hit. It was over Fierik's head. Acosta will score, and Anissa Acosta stands at second with an RBI double.
Well, we talked about the importance of an insurance run, Joe, and man, that's a huge one for the Dolphins. After that wild pitch allowed Alyssa Acosta to go to second base, Anissa Acosta drills an RBI double into right field, and it's now a 2-run lead for the Dolphins.
Big insurance run there for the Dolphins as Mariah Carcano lays down a bunt, and all over it was Santiago as Carcano is thrown out for the first out.
It's a nice productive first out, at least. The good thing for the Spartans, though, Joe, was that they at least held Acosta to second base, so the Dolphins were not able to get the sacrifice over to third. And now we'll see what Amanda Stalker can do with one down.
With the bunt on there, I'm surprised Acosta didn't run on contact.
I thought she did for a second. She didn't move.
Amanda Stalker, the batter now. She looks at strike one.
That was the obvious intention to try to move it to third, but good job by the Spartans. They played it well. Acosta remains on second base.
The 0-1 inside. One and one on Stalker. There's a swing and a miss, 1-2.
Another inside fastball from Pupolo right there. And now it's 1-2.
1-2. In for a called strike 3. Stalker couldn't believe it, and she sat down looking for the second out.
Another inside fastball right there. Pupolo gets a huge strikeout after giving up that RBI double. Has really bounced back since then. It'll be up to Balderas to bring home Acosta.
And Eileen Balderas lines one. Diving stop at second.
Wow.
And they got her at first. What a play by Marcano.
Marcano saving another run from scoring that would have given the Dolphins a 3-run lead heading into the 7th inning. And now, Joe, the Dolphins do get the 1, but it easily could have been 2 right there.
A run-saving stop by Marcano at second base, and the Dolphins will settle for 1. We head to the 7th. Staten Island leads it, 5-3. Seventh inning from the CSI softball complex. The Dolphins, after picking up a huge insurance run, lead it 5-3. And Nick, with 132 pitches, Kennedy Ruth is back out there for the
Shouldn't doubt her
seventh.
at this rate with her pitch count. She's back out for the seventh, looking for the complete game and looking for a huge win for CSI that could keep them alive in the playoff race.
That's popped up. In play, foul territory, and caught.
That's a nice way to start the inning. Getting that pop-up, get the first out. I mentioned that this is the fourth time these batters are coming to the plate to face her today. And with the way Raposa last time, Joe, we saw her hit a home run. It's a good thing that she's up again with nobody on base.
If you're the Dolphins, this is exactly how you'd like to face Raposo. Base is empty. Can't beat you with one swing as that's fouled away. 0-1.
Been treated to another great contest here at softball. The last couple of weeks, Joe, we've been treated to some very good games all around for baseball and now here at softball with, of course, a lot on the line for those two teams trying to make it into the playoffs this season.
Spartans with some margin for error atop the standings. The Dolphins not so much, and this win would be huge for them if they can hold on here in the seventh. One ball and one strike to count. And that is in for a called strike two.
Ruth now one strike away from the second out of this inning. Would be her sixth strikeout of the day.
1-2. Hit to short. Balderas. Throw in time. Two gone.
Balderas took her time as well, Joe. Didn't rush the throw. Made it strong on the first base. And again, a very big out right there in Raposo. And now it'll be up to Morello with two gone. The Dolphins 1 out away for their second conference win of the season.
Standing between the Dolphins and a huge win is Sophia Morella. Ruth at 138 pitches. And that's high ball one.
And if you realize on deck, Trinidad Santiago, who's had some lovely at-bats, as I mentioned a couple of times in this game, is on deck and would love to end that offer against Ruth with a potential chance with one swing to tie the game.
1-0. In for a strike, 1-1. I'll tell you, Nick, the sun that was shining earlier is now gone.
Yeah, and the wind is picking
up. Count 1-1. That's ball two.
The Dolphins are able to hold on, Joe. This could go a long way into them trying to finish off this season. I mentioned it earlier. 13 days left in the year for the Dolphins. They have 12 games, including these two today. And they really need to pick up some games, being, with the numbers where they say 4 games back in that last spot in the conference standings. They really need this one. Tracy Garofalo checks her catcher behind the plate to make sure Maz Paul is okay.
They wanted to make sure the ball in the dirt didn't skip up and catch the fingers.
They were asking her if she was dizzy or not.
I thought, so they were asking how many fingers she had up.
Yeah, that's exactly what they were asking.
I thought they were checking the fingers.
Tracy's had some very nice interactions behind the plate these last couple of days.
We're treated to a front row seat every time. It's 2-1. Swing and a miss, 2-2.
I gotta tell you, man, she's throwing 140 pitches in that fastball, and you can still hear it from behind the plate.
Yeah. Dolphins could use one more of those. Ruth and the Dolphins are one strike away from a huge conference win. And that's hit back to short. Balderas in time. And the Dolphins have beaten the Spartans for the first time in 4 years, picking up a huge conference win as Kennedy Ruth goes the distance with over 140 pitches in a 5-3 victory.
Somebody get her an ice pack, Joe. That arm has got to be killing her, but did she earn every single out of this game? A huge win for the Dolphins, 5-3 the final. Great pitching on both fronts from these two teams. We saw from these two starters. Clancy did a great job. Pumpelo, to her credit, did give up a run, but did a good job in relief. But Kennedy Ruth going the full distance, giving the Dolphins a much-needed win to now get their second conference win of the season and keep their season going. But as we know, Joe, still another game to go here today. If they can get that second game, that will really go a long ways towards the Dolphins trying to creep up into those ECC standings.
The Dolphins absolutely had to have one of these games, in my opinion. If they can take both, it reinvigorates their push for the playoffs. A win in Game 2 for them would be huge. As I mentioned, the Spartans have margin for error, but you know that they do not want to drop 2 games against this Dolphins team that they have had so much success against in the past. The Dolphins haven't beaten them since 2021. They entered that game 1-17 all time against Stack.
Yeah, and that's kind of a monkey off your back getting this win. Not only for, your career, your team's history against this team, but to keep this, this season going for, your roster. You're trying to get into the playoffs. You're trying to keep your season alive. We mentioned it. If they lost both of these games here today, that could have effectively ended their season as a whole. Getting at least one of these games does help, but getting both would do a lot for this team heading into the next couple of weeks.
Huge win for the Dolphins. Still more work to be done here today. They win Game 1, 5-3. Game 2 coming up in approximately 30 minutes. This has been Joe Foreman on the call alongside Nicholas Pavona. Both of us rejoin you for the second game of today's East Coast Conference doubleheader coming up next.